Donald Trump just wrapped up a major economic speech right here inside Detroit's Cobo Center. He talked about various topics, including tax reforms, cutting regulations, ending job-killing inversions, allowing parents to deduct their child care taxes, and eliminating the death tax. Let's take a listen.
We will build the next generation of roads, bridges, railways, tunnels, seaports, and airports. That, believe me, folks, is what our country deserves. American cars will travel the roads. American planes will connect our cities. And American ships will patrol the seas.
Several hundred protesters outside held signs and attempted to block others from entering the convention center.
The skyscrapers went up in Beijing and many other cities around the world, while the factories and neighborhoods crumbled right here in Detroit.
One by one, my reporter counted 14 protesters who stood up and were removed from the event.
I am proposing an across-the-board income tax reduction, especially for middle-income Americans. This will lead to millions of new and really good-paying jobs. The rich will pay their fair share, but no one will pay so much that it destroys jobs or undermines our ability as a nation to compete.
So tell me, what did you think of Trump's speech today?
I thought the speech was inspirational. I thought it was patriotic, and I think that Trump is for the American people, not for the political elite, the media elite, the government elite, and the corporate elite.
Donald Trump's an outsider. He's bringing back jobs back to America, and specifically to Detroit. He mentioned a lot about manufacturing jobs going overseas, and he's going to bring them back home.
Are you guys going to be voting for him or still undecided?
No, I'll be voting for him.
Donald Trump, all the way.
My plan will reduce the current number of brackets from 7 to 3 and dramatically streamline the process.
What did you think of the speech today?
I thought it was great. Donald Trump did well, and he also hit on a lot of parts that us Americans are worried about, as our trade, our economic state, and everything like that, and our trade deals and things like that sort.
All right. Now, if you're going to be voting for him, tell me why.
Because he's real. He actually goes to the issues that matter. He doesn't hide behind all these political rhetorics and everything, and he's not afraid to call things what it is and what our American people, what we're upset about.
My plan will also help reduce the cost of child care by allowing parents to fully deduct the average cost of child care spending from their taxes. We are also going to bring back trillions of dollars from American businesses that are now parked overseas. They can't bring their money back into our country. Our plan will bring that cash home, applying only a 10% tax. This money will be reinvested in states like Michigan. States like Michigan.
He's down to earth, he's realistic, he's fresh, he's different. He's not from the political class.
Now, are you going to be voting for him? And if you are, tell me why.
Absolutely, because we need someone in there that's not establishment, that is not going to be beholden to traditional political insider paradigms.
Under my plan, no American company will pay more than 15% of their business income in taxes.
What did you think of the speech by Mr. Trump?
I thought it was good. He had a lot of clear ideas. I think he has a lot planned for us. It was kind of rough to see him be interrupted like that. I think he handled it very well, though. So,
I want to jumpstart America, and it can be done, and it won't even be that hard.
Now, if you're voting for Mr. Trump, go ahead and tell me why.
He knows what he wants to do. I think he speaks his mind. He's very true in what he says. as opposed to Hillary, who I think is hiding a lot of things from us, but I think we expect a lot of the truth from him, so yeah.
Detroit, the Motor City, will come roaring back, roaring back. The same old failed policies of the past. Our party has chosen to make new history by selecting a nominee from the outside, and that's outside of the very, very already proven rigged system.
An estimated 2,500 people attended the sold-out Detroit Economic Club luncheon. And that's a wrap from Cobo Center. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton will be in Detroit on Thursday to deliver her economic policy speech. We'll be there to cover it. Reporting from Cobo Center, I'm Jason Rasidlo for AmericaJR.com.
Thank you. Thank you so much. The defining economic challenge of our time is clear. We must raise incomes for hardworking Americans so they can afford a middle-class life. We must drive strong and steady income growth that lifts up families and lifts up our country. And that And that will be my mission from the first day I'm president to the last. I'll also push for broader business tax reform to spur investment in America, closing those loopholes that reward companies for sending jobs and profits overseas. And I know it's not always how we think about this. But another engine of strong growth should be comprehensive immigration reform. You know, when we get Americans moving, we get our country moving. So let's establish an infrastructure bank that can channel more public and private funds. And let's build those faster broadband networks and make sure there's a greater diversity of providers so consumers have more choice. And really, there's no excuse not to make greater investments in cleaner, renewable energy right now. It's time to recognize that quality, affordable childcare is not a luxury, it's a growth strategy. And it's way past time to end the outrage of so many women still earning less than men on the job and women of color making even less. Fair pay and fair scheduling, paid family leave, and earned sick days, child care are essential to our competitiveness and our growth. And we can do this in a way that doesn't impose unfair burdens on businesses, especially small businesses. As president, I'll fight to put families first, just like I have my entire career. To get all incomes rising again, we need to strike a better balance. If you work hard, you ought to be paid fairly. So we do have to raise the minimum wage and implement President Obama's new rules on overtime. And then we have to go further. I'll crack down on bosses who exploit employees by misclassifying them as contractors or even steal their wages. I'll protect the Affordable Care Act and build on it to lower out-of-pocket health care costs. We need new ideas as well. And one that I believe in and will fight for is profit sharing. Hard-working Americans deserve to benefit from the record corporate earnings they help produce. So I will propose ways to encourage companies to share profits with their employees. First, hardworking families need and deserve tax relief and simplification. Second, those at the top have to pay their fair share. That's why I support the Buffett rule, which makes sure that millionaires don't pay lower rates than their secretaries. I've also called for closing the carried interest loophole, which lets wealthy financiers pay an artificially low rate. And let's agree that hugely successful companies that benefit from everything America has to offer should not be able to game the system and avoid paying their fair share, especially while companies who can't afford high-priced lawyers and lobbyists end up paying more. Alongside tax reform, it's time to stand up to efforts across our country to undermine worker bargaining power, which has been proven again and again to drive up wages. Trade has been a major driver of the economy over recent decades, but it has also contributed to hollowing out our manufacturing base and many hardworking communities. So we do need to set a high bar for trade agreements. We should support them if they create jobs, raise wages, and advance our national security. And we should be prepared to walk away if they don't. I'm committed to seeing every 4-year-old in America have access to high-quality preschool in the next 10 years. In an age of technological change, we need to provide pathways to get skills and credentials for new occupations and create online platforms to connect workers to jobs. There are exciting efforts underway, and I want to support and scale the ones that show results. That's why I've called for reviving the new markets tax credit and empowerment zones to create greater incentives to invest in poor and remote areas. To help more companies do that, I've proposed a new $1,500 tax credit for every worker they train and hire. And I will soon be proposing a new plan to reform capital gains taxes to reward longer-term investments that create jobs more than just quick trades. Over the course of this campaign, I will offer plans to rein in excessive risks on Wall Street and ensure that stock markets work for everyday investors, not just high-frequency traders and those with the best or fastest connections. I will appoint and empower regulators who understand that too big to fail is still too big a problem. We'll ensure that no firm is too complex to manage or oversee, and we will prosecute individuals as well as firms when they commit fraud or other criminal wrongdoing.